name?
Yes.
Have you read the biography, the Miss Fatima Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anha, the daughter of the Prophet, peace be upon him? Any book on the biography of Fatima Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anha?
No, sir.
Okay. Miss Samina, you're facing some problems as compared to the rest of the participants. So what is your daily routine? What do you do, and how you cover up new books, how you listen new books? What is your routine?
My daily nowadays I am busy in my preparation for interview, and I have my mobile phone and laptop and many apps that help me to read new books. I use that is library for downloads, and then I read books by different apps.
Okay. What is the name of the book? The last is, you know?
That I have called it Doll's House by Ibsen.
Uh, Distortion is there. Okay, I don't get the. Please do come again. Against this.
Doll's House by Ibsen.
What do you understand by the significance of the title, Doll's House? What is the significance of the title?
Yes, this title shows the place of women in 19th century, and Nora says about herself that she's doll in her father's house and also doll in her husband's house, and
So the
doll.
title is symbolic.
Yes.
Symbol of what?
And doll is a toy, and doll is a symbol of that the women of that centuries are bound to do what the men demand and what they are saying. They are not free to do according to their own will.
So you mean the doll is just meant to be played and on. The doll is considered something that is controlled, and every move of doll is depicted. So
Yes.
you're talking about this.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
what is the message that you have perceived from the doll's house, Miss Amina?
The message that I have perceived that the importance of yourself is very important, and the individualism, because Nora is saying that my sacred duty is to myself. So the important message is you care, you take, you give time to yourself first, and then other member of the society, your relatives and other members.
Have you read any other book of Ibsen?
Yes, Hedda Gabler.
Okay, Hedda Gabler. The title once again is symbolic here. It is referring towards a character, arrogant character. So what else you perceive from the title?
As Hedda Gabler is a title about on the name of the main protagonist, that is Hedda Gabler, and Hedda is married to Tasman, but she doesn't change her name because her father was a journal. That's why she doesn't change her name. So this title represents the arrogance and pride nature and class consciousness nature of Hedda Gabler.
What do you understand when we say Hedda is called the female Hamlet? By the way, who was Hamlet, and why Hedda is considered a female Hamlet?
Hamlet is a tragic hero. It is a play written by Shakespeare, and Hamlet is the main tragic hero. of that play. And
Mhm.
Hedda is also a tragic hero. That's why we can say Hedda is compared to Hamlet.
Mhm. Okay. So Hamlet is the prince of which states?
Prince of Denmark.
Okay. So do you believe Hedda Gabler is a tragedy?
Yes, Hedda Gabler is a modern tragedy. It is not in traditional sense, but it is a modern tragedy because in tradition, as Aristotle says, female are not apt for tragedy. But in modern time, Ibsen represents the tragedy of female.
Okay, what is the notion, what is the perspective of Hedda about her own marriage?
Hedda married to Testman because he's a professor, and Hedda just married Testman because of his class and because of his status, not for love. So I think so. Hedda's views about marriage is materialistic. He prefer materialistic
So he
things,
respects the very bond of marriage or not?
not.
So she does not respect the bond of marriage.
Yes, sir.
Okay, in tragedy, sympathy is aroused by the protagonist. So how in Hedda Gabler we have the sympathy. So Hedda is how Hedda is arousing the sympathy.
Yes, at the end, when Hedda Gabler plays, and the um, Testman start to
Mhm.
write a book or a manuscript with the help of Mrs. Alvistrid. She's
Mhm.
a friend of Hedda, and he doesn't care about Hedda's issues, Hedda's life. And Judge Brack uh, also um,
Okay.
threatened Hedda to become a scandal.
Mhm.
So that's why at that time she is helpless.
But this sort of sympathy is, the sympathy of the tragedies in Elizabethan age and the modern Raman's sympathies, they're quite different. Don't you feel the sympathies are really different? What sort of difference have you observed in both the tragedies, the modern tragedy and the classical one, or at least Elizabethan one?
I think so. Modern tragedies are the tragedy of individual, and the classical tragedies are the tragedies of society because they represent
Mhm.
uh, um, noble class or any specific class. But in modern time, they represent the tragedy
Why
of an individual.
Hedda Gabler, she is pursuing the power time and again. Why she want the power?
In Hydra's life, she was suppressed by her father. That's why she want to get power over men because her father doesn't allow her to do something, to do things freely.
Okay,
That's why she
okay.
want to
Why
get
she
powers.
burnt the manuscript?
She burned the manuscript due to jealousy
Jealousy
because she loves
from with.
Lovborg,
Mm.
and she doesn't like that Lovborg wrote manuscripts with the help of her friend Mrs. Alvester.
Mhm. I think that she was having jealousy, and the jealousy was for Mrs. Elvested.
Yes, the relationship between Mrs. Alvester and Elliot Lovborg.
Do you remember the very famous lines that Hedda uttered? No, I am burning your child.
Yes, now I'm
Can you
burning
complete?
your child, burning your
Mhm.
child, uh, Elliot, your child, and Thea.
You with your curly hair, your child, and alert lovebirds. I am burning the child. Okay. So, what is the name of your famous poet? You prepared any poet for today's discussion?
Yes, my favorite poet is Robert Frost.
Any famous poem of Frost that you have learned by heart?
Yes, stopping by woods on a snowy evening.
Okay, can you recite some lines?
Yes, exactly. The woods are
Mm.
lovely, dark, and deep, but I have promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Uh, the first stanza, if you can recall the first stanza, whose word
Yes,
these are,
whose
I
words
think.
these are, I think I know. His
Mm,
house is in the village, though. He will not
mm.
see me to watch his woods fill up with snow. My little horse must think it queer
Very good.
to
That's great.
stop a
The
farmhouse with
last
the
three
snow.
questions. So, Ms. Samina, have you read any Pakistani person, Pakistani writer who's contributing in English?
Yes, Babsi Sidwa and Musa Hamid.
Okay, Mohsin Hamid, you have read which play, which novel of Mohsin Hamid?
Reluctant fundamentalist.
Reluctant Fundamentalist. Once again, talking about the title, do you really feel reluctant fundamentalist? So fundamental is something that we can count in the category of slang.
So there is a distortion. Can you repeat question again?
My question is about the title, the reluctant fundamentalist. So reluctant fundamentalist. Do you feel Changiz is the reluctant fundamentalist?
No, I think so. Chengiz is not a reluctant fundamentalist, and Chengiz is representing Muslim community, and all Muslim community is not a reluctant fundamentalist. This is the label that American attacks with Muslim community. Chengiz is not a reluctant fundamentalist. He is not extremist in his religion.
Okay, why Changiz came back to the Pakistan, Miss Fatima?
And Chengiz came back to Pakistan because at America he considered a terrorist. When people saw his beard and wearing shalwar kameez, people start hatred and they are saying he's terrorist. That's why he came back to Pakistan.
Okay, thank you so much. That's all for today's discussion, Miss Samina Fatima. Let's proceed further and talk about the feedback. Miss Samina, overall your performance is, mashallah, very good. You have improved a lot, and mashallah, the improvement is there. It is visible that you have attended all the interviews and you've been working throughout since then. Well, जब तक हम बात कर रहे थे, since we were talking about the Ibsen, your command was extraordinary. But when we came back to the Mohsin Hamid, when we started discussion and asking the question Mohsin Hamid, uh, it seems कि वो जो answers का content था, that was not impressive one. Okay, so reluctant fundamentalist में मोहसिन हामिद का वो जो करेक्टर है चंगेज, हमने तो यही पढ़ा है ना कि जब वो वापस आता है तो उसकी वजह ये होती है बिकॉज वो टीच करना चाहता है, वो बताना चाहता है कि हम लोग किस तरह से हैं, एंड यू नो इज वर्किंग देयर एज अ प्रोफेसर. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so your grip on Pakistani literature is not as good as it is for Ibsen. Okay, so you can take Ibsen and the the contributions of Ibsen as your boundary. Try your level best that they are not going away from this very boundary. Talking about Robert Frost, that's very fine that you have learned the poem by heart and it is impressive, mashallah. बट कोशिश के इसके अलावा भी अगर कुछ मजीद जो है वो रीड आउट कर सकें. हमने एक्सप्लोर नहीं किया, आई एम श्योर आपने पढ़ा होगा फ्रॉस्ट को, काफ़ी डिटेल से पढ़ा होगा. और एक मेरी रिकमेंडेशन ये है कि इब्सन के अलावा कोई और भी ड्रामेटिस्ट जो है वो ले लीजिएगा. हम जितने भी इंटरव्यूज आपने यहाँ पे भी देखे होंगे, time and again a lot many students they are talking about Ibsen. What if the next person is not interested in Ibsen? So how you are going to cope that situation? Okay,
सर
so
मैंने जीबी शाह का एक ड्रामा है जो मैंने सिलेबस में भी किया था और मैंने अपने सीटीआई के टेन्योर में भी पढ़ाया है, आर्म्स एंड द मैन, तो वो मैंने अच्छी तरीके से किया हुआ है.
okay, that's fine, that's great कि आपने उसको भी जो है वो अच्छे से तैयार किया हुआ है. और आप उसको भी देख लीजिएगा, उसकी डिटेल्स को भी देख लीजिएगा. आई एम श्योर कि आपने आर्म्स एंड द मैन को अगर पढ़ा हुआ है तो आपको पता होगा कि ये कॉमेडी है, और इसका टाइटल कहाँ से आता है, वर्जिल की इनियड से आता है, ठीक है। वो इनियड का जो है वो कहाँ से लिया गया था, लैटिन से था, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह, सारी डिटेल्स को एक्सप्लोर कर लीजिए, ठीक है। Overall, today's performance was mashallah extraordinary. You have answered all the question और बड़े अच्छे अंदाज से किए। सिर्फ इस एंड वाले सेक्शन को थोड़ा सा देख लीजिएगा। With this performance, you can easily grab 70 marks, Miss Fatima. Sorry, Miss Samina Fatima. ठीक है? So your performance was mashallah extraordinary in today's interview.
Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome. So no, quickly because we have some moments, मैं कुछ आपको terms बता देता हूँ, इनको जो है वो देख लीजिएगा। सारे एमेट्री फिक्शन को देख लीजिएगा कि ये क्या होते हैं। आप जानते हैं 18th सेंचुरी और 19th सेंचुरी में लिखे जाते थे। कैवेलियर पोइट को देख लीजिएगा। आप जानते हैं कि कैवेलियर पोइट रॉयलिस्ट पोइट होते थे। सो इनकी डिटेल्स को देख लीजिएगा। पोइट्स मैं क्विकली लिखूंगा ताकि मैक्सिमम चीज़ों को कवर कर लें। मेटाफिजिकल पोइट्स को देखेंगे आप जो हैं वो अगस्टन्स को देख लेंगे। इसके अलावा जो है ये टर्म्स आपने पहले भी देखी होंगी, लेकिन इनको ज़रा दोबारा आपने अपने इंटरव्यू से पहले, जिससे होता है ना कि चीज़ें जाने से पहले हमने दोबारा से इनको देखना है और इनको स्किप नहीं करना, तो वो आप इनका स्क्रीनशॉट लेके अपने पास महफूज रख लीजिएगा कि ये चीज़ें अपने इंटरव्यू से पहले आपके फिंगर टिप्स पे होनी चाहिए, क्योंकि कुछ चीज़ें जो हैं वो टाइम एंड अगेन रिपीट की जा रही हैं। अमेरिकन रोमांटिसिज्म को देख लीजिएगा। इसके अलावा प्री रफेल जो हैं, इसके अलावा ट्रांसेंडेंटलिज्म को देख लीजिएगा। इसके अलावा डार्क रोमांटिसिज्म को देख लीजिएगा। नंबर 12 पे आप रियलिज्म को देख लीजिएगा। ये बड़ी आसान सी और बेसिक सी डेफिनेशन हैं जो आपको काफ़ी हेल्प करेंगे, और मैं आपको बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं आज बताऊंगा। मैं कोशिश करूंगा 20 के करीब आपके साथ शेयर करूँ। बाकी हम जो है वो अपनी रेस्ट ऑफ क्लासेस के अंदर कंप्लीट कर लें। फॉन्ट साइज थोड़ा छोटा कर दें इसका, ठीक है। थैंक यू। अच्छा जी, नंबर 13 पे वही चीज़ें, नेचुरलिज्म काफ़ी दफ़ा हम डिस्कस कर चुके हैं, सिंबलिज्म, लेकिन आपने इन तमाम को, क्योंकि मैंने आपको बताया कि अभी हम जो हैं वो सारी की सारी वही चीज़ें जो हमने कवर की हैं उनको एक दफ़ा रिवाइज ज़रूर करेंगे, ठीक है जी। स्ट्रीम ऑफ कॉन्शियसनेस को देखेंगे। इनको जब आप तैयार करेंगे तो इनकी एक एग्जाम्पल भी आपके फिंगर टिप में होनी चाहिए। मॉडर्निज्म को देखेंगे जी। द लॉस्ट जनरेशन को देखेंगे जी आप। नंबर 18 पे आप जो हैं वो देखेंगे, मैं वही जो आपसे बात कर रहा था, एक मूवमेंट है हमारे पास डाजा, इसको देखेंगे, एक्सप्लोर करेंगे। और वार पोइट्स को देखेंगे कि वार पोइट्स कौन कौन से थे, ठीक है। इसमें ऐसा कीजिएगा कि वार पोइट्स को जब आप करेंगे सेशन जो है वो सिग्फ्राइड सेशन को स्पेशली देखिएगा। ससोन भी इसे जो है वो करते हैं। रॉबर्ट बर्के को देख लीजिएगा, काफ़ी जो है वो फेमस है, दोनों की डिटेल्स जो हैं। और 20th नंबर पे मैं आपसे ये कहूँगा कि इमेजिज्म को मिस नहीं कीजिएगा, ठीक है जी। सो दीज आर द डिटेल्स, दीज आर द इम्पोर्टेंट टर्म्स जिनको आप एक्सप्लोर करेंगे, इनकी डिटेल्स को देखेंगे। और एक चीज़ याद रखिएगा, एंड विद दिस नोट आई एम एंडिंग टुडे सेशन। ये अजमतों के हैं जो रास्ते, ये अजमतों के हैं जो रास्ते, गर हों सभी के वास्ते। ये अजमतों के हैं जो रास्ते, गर हों सभी के वास्ते, फिर इन पे चलना मुहाल क्या, फिर अजमतों में कमाल क्या। सो यू नीड टू वर्क एक्स्ट्रा ऑर्डनरी, और आपको काफ़ी मुख्तलिफ होकर मेहनत करनी है, क्योंकि इन पे चलना फिर मुहाल कैसा अगर ये सभी के लिए हों। सो विद दिस नोट आई एम एंडिंग टुडे सेशन एंड होप टू सी ऑल ऑफ यू इंशाल्लाह ऑन मंडे। और मंडे को जो है हमारी क्लास होगी। मंडे के बाद हमारी क्लासेस जो हैं वो ट्यूसडे, वेडनेसडे और थर्सडे, 4 मजीद क्लासेस होंगी। इन 4 क्लासेस में अगर कोई फील करता है कि उसको कोई क्वेश्चन है, उसको मॉक इंटरव्यू जो है वो मज़ीद लेना है, तो द हाउस इज़ ओपन और हम ज़रूर इवेल्युएट कर सकते हैं। उसके बाद चूँकि मैक्सिमम हमारे पार्टिसिपेंट्स अपने इंटरव्यूज़ में से गुजर चुके हैं और इंटरव्यूज़ को हम काफ़ी ढंग से तमाम एस्पेक्ट्स को देख चुके हैं। सो द थर्सडे और वेडनेसडे, इन दोनों में से एक दिन जो है वेडनेसडे या थर्सडे को हमारी आखिरी क्लास होगी। सो टिल देन टेक केयर ऑफ योरसेल्फ एंड होप टू सी ऑल ऑफ यू इंशाल्लाह ऑन मंडे। खुदा हाफिज़।